What you can see here is the helicopter coming back out. We've got the trees already cut and bundled up out in the field. We have a person that comes in and hooks up the ropes to the helicopter, and the helicopter will pick that up and take that down to our main yard where you were just seeing where the freight truck is at. The helicopter likes to lift around 700 to 800 pounds is what they want to carry. And depending on the size of the tree, but it'll only be anywhere from 10 to 15 trees per bundle. You can see it's rather fast what he does. We do the helicopter because two things. It's fast and we don't have to go out into the fields and pack mud back down in on the roads and cause erosion and stuff out in the fields. We use a local helicopter outfit, Henderson Aviation. John Henderson's the pilot. He's been flying for a lot of years. Very experienced pilot. And then when you can see there, as soon as the pile hits the ground, we have two guys that pull the ropes out, and we have a four-wheeler that comes in and pulls the ropes out of the pile so we don't have the ropes all tangled up inside of it. Anytime. Okay. Is there any questions anybody has on the helicoptering part of it?
We have one question, Kirk, not necessarily to the helicopter, but a little bit about what you talked about before.
Okay.
What kind of trees do you grow? You mentioned that a little bit, and how many do you have total, and what do you do with all the extra trees?
We have 170 acres into Christmas tree production. We have Noble Fir, Doug Fir, and Nordman Fir. We try not to have anything extra. If we try to, like these last freight truck that we were loading there, we have another one on Friday, and we try to get our numbers pretty much exact. We went back out yesterday and cut some more trees, so we knew that we were going to have the right amount of trees for that truck. If we do happen to have anything left over, there's Christmas tree lots in Eugene that we end up selling to. What you're looking at here is our baler. The guy will be on the back. You can see that that is shaker. So what we do, we shake the tree and try to get all the needles out of it. They all don't come out because the trees are damp, but we do get, I bet we probably get 70, 80%. And then you can see that he's putting it back inside the cone, and there's a set of jaws that grab a hold of that and pull it through. And then there's twine string cans that bail it all up. And you can see after he cuts the string and ties the string, on the table here, we have got color coordinated. So when he pulls it down, he looks to see where the top comes into, and that'll dictate what the size of the tree is. And then he'll put it into whatever pile that color size is. The shaking feature that we have on the back is kind of new to the industry. It's catching on more and more, and that's the Christmas tree industry took surveys, and they found out what some of the #1 problems with getting a real Christmas tree, and it was needles in the house. And so that's why we shake the tree, to try to make it so we don't have near the mess when you get done with, you take your tree in and then also take your tree out of the house. What we're going to do is we'll walk over here. You can see this field here is a 2-year-old field of noble fir. What we do when we get done taking all the trees, cutting all the good trees in a field, we take it and we take the stumps out, we farm the ground back down, and we'll go out and take soil analysis of the soil and find out what it needs. We end up coming back out and putting lime, fertilizer, and then we also put it into a cover crop of oats for a couple of years to build the soil back up, put some humus back in the soil. And then after that, then we'll come back in and we'll plant the trees like you see here. So that's what I say, these are a 2-year-old noble fir field that we have here. The field that's in the background, that is a field that we have for our U-cuts. So we've planted, it was noble fir, and we put interplanted Doug fir for people when they come into a U-cut. Some people want Doug fir, instead of have to send them to a different field. We have all the varieties of trees right here in one field. The seed, back up and we'll talk about the seedling. These seedlings, when we buy them from a nursery, they are a 1-year-old seedling. So they're growing in a nursery bed for 1 year. So they'd be a little bit smaller than what this one you can see here. This is about the size of what a tree is that comes from a nursery.
Kirk, I think we have some more questions for you.
Okay.
So first, a lot of us want to know, how fast does the helicopter fly and how many trees can it move in an hour?
The turns that we were doing in that video was probably about 40 seconds between picking the bundle up, dropping it, and going back again. The speed, I don't know what speed he's doing because it depends on how far he does, but I think a helicopter flies about 100, 110 miles an hour at the fastest. So you have to do the math. Teachers, you're smarter than I am. If he's doing 35-second turns and he's hauling 12 trees per bundle, what is it? As a math teacher out there, is there another question?
Yes, we have a couple. How many trees can the helicopter carry?
It all, like I said, it all depends on the weight of the tree. If the trees are big and heavy, he can only hold 7 or 8. But if the trees are light, he can have more. 700 to 800 pounds is where the helicopter likes to be.
Okay. And then, has the rope ever broken before on the helicopter?
Yes, they have. Sometimes for whatever reason, they'll end up breaking one. And what happens is there's 2 different ropes that are on there. Sometimes if one breaks, the other one will still hold, but most of the time the bundles fall apart. And we hope if that happened, it almost always happens when they're lifting it up out in the field. It almost never happens once it's starting to come in. It's always the initial pickup.
And we have one more about the helicopter. Do you use the helicopter in other parts of producing the trees besides the harvesting?
We do not. No.
All right, thank you.
Back up to where we were talking about the seedlings. This is a pine. This is a fir, Douglas fir cone, and this is a ponderosa pine cone. This is where the seed comes from that starts the seedlings that we seen out there a minute ago in the field. If you pull this apart, that right there, this little tip of that is the seed that starts a Christmas tree or a timber tree or whatever. So when you see a little seedling, a Douglas fir or a ponderosa pine or whatever, starting to grow up wherever, that's a bird had it in its mouth, or a squirrel or whatever, and deposited that, and that's where it started from, is that. And it's the same thing with the ponderosa. This is hard and dry, but if you'd pull that apart, it's the same thing. the little cap right there, that's the seed. So there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of seed off of each cone. Any questions about seedlings?
We have a few questions about them growing.
Okay.
How long does it take for them to grow and how big can they get?
The biggest tree that we sold this year was 24 feet. They can get bigger than that. We don't grow anything bigger than that. But as you can look back here to the field, those trees there, the noble fir those are 8-year-old noble fir. And then we interplanted the Doug fir 2 years later after that. So the Doug fir to get to be 6 feet tall, 7 feet tall is 7 years.
Okay. And then what happens if you cut too many trees, and have you ever run out before?
That's what happens if you cut too many trees. We have, but we always try to hold ace card up your sleeve if you want to. We always don't cut everything in case we get into a situation where we need to be able to go back and fill a truck or something. We keep a few trees that standing that we can go back and get in an emergency if we need.
Okay. And then do you grow your own seedlings or do you get them from somewhere else?
No, we buy them from a nursery. We do not grow our own.
And how, on average, how many trees do you plant a year?
We'll plant right at 25,000 trees a year, and that's the same as what we harvest every year.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
What we have here you're looking at is a Douglas fir. We usually go out into the field and video it, but the field that we have that haven't been sheared yet is on the other side of the hill. So what I'm going to do is a demonstration of a Douglas fir. This is what this tree looks like every spring after it grows. And then we have to shape this tree back into a marketable tree. People don't want it this wild looking of a tree. So what we have is a machete our crew uses. We have a crew of 4 people that do our shearing of our Christmas trees. And this is the exact same thing that they have. They just have a pair of clippers and a machete. You're supposed to have a leg guard on to protect your leg, but I didn't put one on. This tree is a little bit crooked because the stand I put on isn't that great. So there. And that's what we do to every one of our Douglas fir. Every year we have to do that.
Kirk,
any other questions? Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. How do you tell the difference between the types of trees?
Once we're growing them and we know what they are. This is a Douglas fir. It's just where we've been doing it for so many years. We know exactly what the types are. Okay.
And how many pine cones are in each tree?
Sometimes they don't have any pine cones. The younger trees, you won't have any pine cones. When the tree starts getting bigger is when you start having cones on them.
Okay. And do you water the trees or just use the rain and groundwater?
We do. We started watering them a couple of years ago because we started having a bunch of mortality. But last year we were able to get some sawdust, and I don't know if you can see that big sawdust pile. We brought in 4 loads of sawdust. So what we did this last year, we gave a scoop shovel full of sawdust around the tree to hold the moisture. And every tree that we put the sawdust on last year survived. There, we did not have any mortality at all from doing that and just holding the moisture.
Wow. We have a question about what you just did. So have you ever cut too much off by mistake or made it not look like a Christmas tree?
You
And is there a
can,
machine or all
you
by hand?
can, you can do that. They do make a machine, kind of a hedge cutter that you can go around the tree. But if you can look, there's buds all the way through here, and that's where this tree is going to grow next year. Is this little red bud that's going to grow out, and that branch will be this long next year. So if we do cut in too far, there is no buds on old wood. 2-year-old wood does not have any bud. It's only the new wood that'll have buds. So if we would cut this back too far like that, there is not going to be anything that's going to grow from that, because that is 2-year-old wood where it's not going to have any buds on that. So you don't want to do that. If you did it when the tree is younger, it'll have a chance to grow out of that, but you don't want to do that when the tree is young or older, ready to harvest, because then it'll have misshaped. Any other questions?
Yeah, how many people are needed to trim if they're all done by hand?
We have a 4-man crew that does that. They shear, they trim trees with the machete till noon, and then when after lunch, then they'll go and do the tops on the noble fir. Noble fir, once you start cutting a top on a noble fir, they're real meticulous that they will not throw a straight top. So what we have to do is have a crew come back out, and we get closer over here, you can see the tape and the bamboo in the tree, and we'll straighten, so we'll make that top straight, because nobody wants to have a crooked top that the angel can't sit on. You can see this tree here. The top was probably out over at an angle into here, and that's what we tied the bamboo, and we pull the top back over so it makes a straight top on it.
Kirk, we're wondering, how long do you guys work a day, and do you work all year or just the holiday season?
Right now we work 8 hours a day during tree harvest, but the crew, we have 5 people that work for us full time, and so they are doing tree work all summer long. It takes all summer to get these trees into shape, to have the tops done, to have the shearing done, to get fertilizer in the springtime and stuff, to be able to have these trees ready for Christmas tree sales.
We're wondering, do you ever have problems with animals trying to live in your trees?
The ones that we have are rabbits, and they are a problem when the trees are little, like the little seedlings that we've seen. The rabbits will come up and eat the trees, which we don't like. And we have, every now and then we'll get a herd of elk that come through, and they like to take their horns and rub on the trees and totally rub all the branches off of one side. So, but other than that, we've got, when you're out here working, you'll have all kinds of birds that nest in the trees, little lizards, and so, but that deer and the rabbits only, or elk and the rabbits, the only ones that really have any problem.
Okay. I've got a big question that a lot of people are wondering. Where do you sell your trees, and where can they be bought, and how much do you sell them for?
Most of our trees are sold in California. We do sell some to Texas, and we also sold a couple of to Arizona. So the price of the tree, a noble fir, say this is a 6 to 7 noble fir, we are $47 a tree at our place. And a Doug fir, you can see the Doug fir right back here, that tree is $22 for a 6-foot tree. And the price goes up. If the higher, the taller the tree, the more cost, the price.
Okay. How many trees will the truck that you were loading at the beginning carry?
It just, once again, it depends, but the average, we're probably around 700, 750 trees per truck. We have got some up to, if there are a whole bunch of smaller trees, we have got up to a little over 1,000 trees on a truck. And we've had some also that's only took a couple of hundred trees when they were nothing but a bunch of big trees.
Okay. And when do you guys plant your seedlings during the year?
Once things start drying out a little bit, usually March, April is the time of the year that we'll end up be planting our newly seedlings.
Cool. This is a good question. How are the trees kept fresh during transport if you're taking them all the way to California and other places?
That truck there, that it will be in Ventura, California in 2 days. So we don't do anything more than just load them on. If a tree's the load that we did send to Texas, they go back up to Salem, and there's an ice plant, and they will blow shaved ice inside on top of that load.
Interesting. We're wondering, if a tree doesn't grow, what do you do with that tree?
We'll replant another one in its spot. And some of them do. Some of them die like that if they didn't get enough water, or sometimes they just die.
We want to know, you mentioned a few of the trees you have. Do you guys have any golden firs?
No, I don't know what a golden fir would be. I think maybe that might be that. I think they used to kind of call them years ago a golden noble, if that is, maybe that's where that's coming from, but it's just a noble fir.
Okay. It looks like we have time for about one more question. What has been the biggest order placed for your trees?
The biggest order, meaning how many trees, or?
Yeah, how many trees have been
Okay,
ordered from one?
We have one customer, actually two customers that are bigger customers, but the one is down in San Dimas, California, and he takes 7 loads of trees, freight truck loads, to one lot. He's got a great location, and it's just, he's been there for 50 years, and it's just a good customer.
All right, and we have one last question for you, Kirk. What is your favorite part of this job?
They don't talk back to me. They never yell at me, and they always smell good. I guess that's what it is. I don't have to go to an office. Yeah, the weather's kind of crappy out here a lot of times, but put rain gear on or heavier clothes, and that's what. But being out here, not having to deal with traffic, people. Not saying that you people are bad.
Thank you, Kirk.
Thank you, guys. Have a Merry Christmas.
You as well.